Now, just last night, I had a heavy session of thinking and reminiscing, right? I'm still in a place where I'm trying to do that in a measured way so that I don't get taken under by that stuff emotionally. But I do think it's important to reminisce about, the things you went through with a narcissist and to gain insight from it. And the other day, I was just thinking about the lies that my narc told, right? My narc mother, egg donor, told. And chief among them, I was thinking about my brother, right? My brother, the golden child, the one who has, for some inexplicable reason, decided to basically lay his life at my mother's feet, still living at home, working to support her and her boyfriend, along with his girlfriend. I've told this story a few times on this channel. Um, yeah, I've been thinking about him and my mother, and it's so interesting because my brother has not seen his biological father in 28 years. Has not seen him since he was about 3, 4 years old. My brother hasn't. And the whole impetus of my narc mother leaving my stepfather, my brother's father. My father died before I was born, so, and I'm 7 years older than my brother, so, different situation. But the impetus of my mother, my narc mother, leaving my stepfather was the fact that, and I quote, he was sleeping with his own daughter. This is the lie. This is the lie that the narcissist told. Now, I'll tell you why I feel that this is a lie, right? So, my mother, and my stepfather were together for a while, and, it had never been a loving marriage or a marriage of any consequence. Um, I grew up being a kid, like seeing them and knowing these people don't love each other and, whatever, what have you. By the time my brother had come along, my mother had had several affairs. My mother had, just kind of been a failure as a wife. Like everything was constantly filthy. We barely had dinners. And my father was out there being the breadwinner, and she worked intermittently, but it was really my stepfather out there making money to support the family. So she would be left to her own devices, and you'd come home to a dirty house and dirty this, dirty that, no food on the stove, no nothing, right? So, but then on his part, he really didn't want to have much to do with me because I wasn't his kid, and didn't want to have much to do with my mom because my mom was who she was. As I said, multiple affairs, probably wasn't too good about hiding it. Um, there seems to be a real, a Jezebel spirit in a lot of these narcissistic people. I'm not religious, but that's kind of the best way I could put it. Long story short, the marriage wasn't going well anyway, right? But the stepdad's daughter came back into the picture. I don't know why they had been, if they had been estranged or what, but she came back into the picture, and my mom didn't like that. My mom did not like to see her husband spending time with his own daughter, right? She did not like that. She became threatened by that. Many of these people are threatened by things that they shouldn't be threatened by. A man's relationship with his daughter is far different than his relationship with his wife, but she was very threatened by that and had an issue with that. So she's watching this. She's feeling insecure. She already knows she's a bum as a wife and that she's fucked around. She literally took me to the houses of the guys she went and fucked around with. I can remember being taken to a house, sat on a couch, this big, beautiful house. This guy must have had a lot of money. And my mom and him go upstairs, and I'm just sitting there. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't understand the context of anything. I was probably 2, 3 years old. 3, 4 maybe years old, something like that. Old enough to know that I wasn't in my house. Old enough to know sit there and don't say nothing. Old enough to know we don't talk about this. Old enough, right? So she's feeling insecure, but she knows on the flip side, she's a scallywag. She knows that. So she's very threatened by any woman that comes around because she knows she's done enough dirt to be, kicked out the door. And plus, these people are just insecure. They are pathologically insecure, right? So she's seeing him talk and laugh with his daughter and give her responses that she doesn't get from him. You're not going to talk and laugh with your wife who you know is screwing around on you and spending every dollar you got in the bank. You're just not. You're not going to want to talk to her. You're not going to want to deal with her. He made her catch the bus to meet him at City Hall to marry him. Now, I don't know why you would marry a woman like that if that's how you feel, but that's how he felt. So again, let's not belabor it. She's insecure about the daughter. The daughter ends up pregnant. I don't know who got her pregnant. I don't know anything about that. Again, I'm like 10 around this time. Um and she has a little baby boy. She brings a kid by and we all get to meet him, and he favors his grandfather. He looks like my stepfather. Because of that, and because my mom was already feeling insecure, when I'm out of town at my aunt's house in Nevada, she gathers all of our things, okay? Gathers all of our things except for my baby pictures and letters from my father, the father I will never meet because he died before I was born, right? Letters to me about how he was excited to meet me. He actually wrote me letters. Okay, so baby pictures and letters from my father, things I can never replace. She leaves them. She leaves them. She leaves my father's notes. Gathers everything up, all the wigs and the makeup and all the other bullshit and toys, and leaves my stepfather after cleaning out his bank account. Leaves him. Okay? No job, no personal savings, just under her steam, just takes his money, takes some trinkets, leaves. Goes to the rest of the family and says he's having sex with his daughter. He is having incest with his daughter. That is what she tells the family under the basis that the child looks like him. Now, maybe I'm crazy. I don't have kids. I haven't been all around the world. I haven't met every single person on this planet. But I do believe sometimes people favor their grandparents. If I found old pictures of my father's father, and I look a lot like my grandfather. I favor him in the eye region. Okay, so does that mean that my grandfather had sex with my mom? Or could it possibly mean that genetics are a thing and sometimes you look like your grandparents? Happens all the time. But she took that as a rationale that, oh, he's doing this and this is my reason for leaving. Personally, I think that's bullshit. Not just because people tend to look like their grandparents from time to time. But I think the whole reason she left was, okay, I feel pushed to the side. I'm very emotional. I'm going to have a reaction. I'm going to leave you. And you're going to come find me. Okay? You're going to come find me and beg for me back and make me feel like I'm in some sort of position of importance to you, even though I fucked around on you, even though I spend your money like water, even though I don't do anything to enrich your household, even though I don't even feed my children or you properly. Even though the house looks like who did it and what for, you're going to be so upset that I left that you're going to come and get me and beg for me back, right? You're going to want me back. You're going to have to show me some sort of appreciation, right? My mom, my narc mom, always had this feeling that she wasn't being shown the proper amount of appreciation, no matter how much she had failed as a mother. She needs her appreciation. So, and this really speaks to the thought process of a narcissist or lack thereof, right? So you want this man to come get you because you're jealous of him spending time with his own daughter, right? You want this man to come get you and save you, and it'll be like a Nicholas Sparks novel, and he rides up on a white horse and he carries you off, and you have this fantasy in your mind of somebody chasing after a bum. You have this fantasy, and the way to accomplish that is to basically drag this man's name in the dirt, say that he's sleeping with his own child, saying that not only is he sleeping with his own child, but they have produced a baby together, and you think that this man is going to think that that's a good thing, a proper thing, a thing that he wants to walk into after you've shamed his name. Now, mind you, again, I was a kid at this time, and I'm still dealing with the like moving to a different place out of nowhere, unexpected, blah blah blah. Getting acclimated to a community that knows nothing about me, and I know nothing about them, blah 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 blah. But I would hear the situation discussed amongst my other older cousins and aunties and uncles, and nobody believed my mom. Nobody believed her, and I didn't understand that at that point. I thought that they were just picking on her. I often thought that they were picking on her. Little did I know that they were adults with discernment, and they knew you don't really want to invest too much in this person. This person is it's like a pot with a hole in it. You ain't never gonna be able to fill this person up or satiate them. So nobody believed it. I believed it because I was a kid, and it's like, well, if mom says so, it must be that. Wow, that's pretty messed up. Even then, as a kid, I was like, that's a stretch. But I mean, if mom says it, it must be the gospel, right? But what are the ramifications of that? And what does that say about the narcissist? They would go that far. Well, I will say the ramifications, are that my brother, as I said, has not seen his biological father, in over 28 years. Because unlike that Nicholas Sparks novel, and unlike this fantasy she must have had in her head, where he rides up on a white horse and he carries her off and he wipes her tears away, he let her go, which is exactly what I would have done. He let her go. He washed his hands of it. Now, he made a few attempts to negotiate with her so he could see his son, right? Because you want to see your kid. But she played games. And she said she was afraid he would kidnap him. And she said this and she said that. The older I get, the less I feel there's any basis to these claims. But this woman legit left this man who was paying for everything, took his kid, and did so under the lie that he was sleeping with his own daughter. The last time they checked in on him, because this guy was standing 10 toes down, but to a stupid level. The last time that they heard of him, he had quit his job working for a subsidiary of IBM. That's great money. He was making six figures, at least. He lost his job working at a subsidiary of IBM. He was an engineer. He worked on computers, okay? He gave that job up and ended up homeless just out the principle that he wasn't going to pay her. Just off the principle that I am not paying you. You are a liar. He washed his hands of his own son because of what my mother put him through. Okay? He washed his hands of his own son. Can you imagine, like, the level of desperation and frustration and over it you have to be at to be like, you know what? This is my only son, but goodbye. I can't imagine. Now, I don't agree with that. I think that's your kid. Fight to the bitter end. Fight till the kid tells you, to your face, I don't want to see you. Fight to the bitter end for your kid. If you've done the right things for them and you want to be in their life, fight to the bitter end. So I'm not sure, but that man got pushed to that point to where he was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna walk off. I'm just gonna walk off. I washed my hands of this. And so those are the ramifications of it. And what has that produced? My brother has no father. My brother is a very emotional little sissy. My brother has no choice but to cling to this one parental figure, because this one parental figure alienated and lied about and set up the other parental figure, the one that could have given him a little bit more direction in life and more morality, quite frankly. Now, as the scapegoat kid who had a dad who died previous to this, I'm just watching this, being abused, but watching this from the sidelines and just thinking to myself, this is bad. It amazes me how easily a narcissist will lie. They will literally burn your world to the ground, all because of a whim. All of this was produced because this woman was jealous of a man's relationship with his daughter, which I hear happens quite frequently, but it still blows the mind. This woman was so goofy that she left this man, didn't have a job, took his money, but didn't have a job. So once that money is run out, now you got to beg the family. Now you're stressed out. Now you're taking shit out on your kids even more, particularly me. I can remember coming in. One day I came in and I made the mistake of, I saved my money a lot back then, right? I was pretty good at saving money. And I came in and I had enough money for us all to go to the movies. Her, myself, and my brother. And I said, hey, let's all go to the movies. My treat. Smile. I'm like 12, right? She goes off on me for 2 hours. Why? Because the walls are closing in. The money she stole from him is running out. The bullshit about his name, the bullshit about him screwing his own daughter is not being believed. And now you have to put your big girl panties on and go out there and be a provider as well as a nurturer and all the other things. You were failing at being a housewife. Now you're going to be a housewife and a fucking nurturer or a provider. You're going to do both those things shittily now? Or are you going to get a man in there as soon as possible? And that's what she did. I don't have a singular point with this video, but I think it's best for us to, like, those of us who have gone no contact, understand why. You're dealing with people who don't care about burning other people's lives down. I think my brother has suffered immeasurably at the hands of my mother. I think he will continue to until the day she dies. And he doesn't even understand it, or he's too much of a wimp to even want to understand it. Because once you understand whom you've been devoted to, and you understand that they took your father away from you, much in the same fashion that your child could be taken away from you if you slip up and get the wrong woman pregnant. Once you understand that, you might feel like your whole life is a lie. And who wants to feel that way? A lot of people on these narcissistic channels are like, they'll call these people evil, and they got demons, and they got this, and they got that. And again, I don't really subscribe to the religious kick. But sometimes I really do feel like there's a measure of evil going on with them. There's something going on. There's an entity. There is something, because this is so pathological to just put yourself and your children, the people that rely upon you, in a situation like this. Like, and it's funny. It's like, lying or accusing someone of lying was a very big thing in our house. You really couldn't even say lie. like that. That was too strong a word, or it was felt to be too strong a word, you know. But when I look at it, when I look back at it, my mom was an absolute fucking liar. Through the lens of adulthood, I could think about the things she told me, and if I, you know, if I was an adult back then and she told me this shit, I'd laugh in her face. I'd be like, "That's bullshit. That never happened. What have you? Hey, who are you talking to? Like, that's bullshit." The funny thing is, they don't even try to lie well. You know, go no contact and stay no contact. That's story time. You know, the more you reminisce, the more you uncover about these things, and the more you see these people for what they are. And the more I see my mom through the lens of what I remember and the context of what she said and how those things don't necessarily align, the more I understand that this is a person who's been messed up for a very long time. And, you know, I don't think that can be helped personally.